Are you looking to connect HighLevel to n8n? You're in the right place. In this video, we'll walk you through exactly how to connect HighLevel to n8n step by step. We'll start with the easy method, where we use an API token generated directly inside a HighLevel subaccount. Then we'll show you the advanced method, where we set up HighLevel OAuth properly and connect it securely to the API. By the end, you'll understand both options and know exactly which one makes the most sense for your setup. Just a quick reminder, this video builds on our complete beginner's guide to the HighLevel API. If at any point you feel a bit lost when we start referencing the HighLevel API documentation, we strongly recommend watching that video first. It will give you the foundation you need to follow along with confidence. Welcome to Aurora AI, the skills accelerator, where agency owners, small businesses, and aspiring developers master AI ecosystems that deliver real results. We break down the smarter approaches, the real-world insights, and the high-leverage decisions behind creating sustainable, reliable, and scalable AI systems, so you can choose the right tech stack and grow without wasting time or money. Before we jump into the step-by-step setup for both methods, let's briefly talk about the differences between these two approaches, so you can decide which one makes the most sense for your specific use case. Why is private integration considered the easy mode? Simply because the token method is very straightforward. You can generate a token in less than a minute, and it requires minimal configuration. If you're new to the HighLevel API, starting with private integration is the easiest way to get up and running. However, based on our experience, this connection is not always the most stable. We've seen cases where a generated token returned unauthorized errors on certain API calls during testing. So while it's great for getting started and understanding how everything works, it may not always be the most reliable option for more advanced or production-level use cases. Now, let's talk about security. One common mistake we see, especially from newer automation builders, is poor API key management. With the rise of vibe coding using AI agents and MCP tools, it's becoming more common for developers to paste API keys directly into prompts, scripts, or temporary tools, often without fully considering the security implications. That creates a weak point in your system. If an API key is accidentally exposed, logged, or shared, someone could potentially use it to access or even manipulate your data. This is one of the reasons HighLevel introduced scopes when creating a private integration token. Instead of granting access to everything, you can limit the token to only the specific permissions your workflow actually needs. This follows an important security principle called the principle of least privilege, meaning a system or token should only have the minimum access required to perform its task, nothing more. It's a small step, but it makes a big difference in protecting your automation stack. That brings us to the advanced mode, OAuth 2.0 authentication using the HighLevel connection inside n8n. This setup does take a bit more time at the beginning because you need to create a HighLevel developer app inside the marketplace and configure the credentials correctly. But once everything is set up properly, you can reuse the same configuration across multiple subaccounts. From a security perspective, OAuth is significantly stronger. Access tokens expire automatically, and the authentication flow is securely managed by n8n. That means you don't have to manually generate, paste, or store sensitive tokens inside your workflows. This becomes especially powerful when you're building template workflows in n8n that you plan to deploy across many subaccounts. Instead of creating separate private tokens for each one, you simply connect the stored OAuth credential to the appropriate subaccount. Based on our experience, the OAuth authorization method is also very stable. We have not encountered the same unauthorized issues that can sometimes occur with private integration tokens. So while it requires a bit more setup up front, it's often the better long-term solution, especially for scalable or production environments. Another major benefit is that you can use the native HighLevel node available in n8n. When you click the Add button inside your n8n workflow and search for HighLevel, you'll see multiple predefined actions. These actions are already configured to work with your stored high-level OAuth credential. When using this native node, you don't need to manually configure headers or handle authorization. You simply select your saved credential and fill in the required fields. This keeps your workflows clean, structured, and much easier to maintain over time. At the same time, you're not limited to only those predefined actions. You can still use the HTTP node to call the HighLevel API with the same stored OAuth credential. This is especially useful when you want to access an endpoint that isn't yet available as a built-in high-level action in n8n. In those cases, you simply switch to the HTTP node and reuse the existing OAuth credential to make a direct API call. This gives you the best of both worlds, the simplicity of native nodes and the flexibility of full API control, all backed by a stable and secure OAuth setup. Now let's begin with the easy mode, using private integration in HighLevel. To get started, we first need to generate a private integration token. Here's how to do it. Go to HighLevel Settings, then open Private Integrations. Click Create New Key and name it something clear, like n8n connection. Next, you'll need to select the correct scope for this token. In this example, we'll use add tag to contact as our test API call. So before selecting any permissions, let's quickly confirm which scope is required. Open the HighLevel API documentation, scroll down to the Contact section, then find Tags and open the Add Tags endpoint. In the Requirements section of that endpoint, you'll see the required scope listed as contacts.write. Now go back to HighLevel, select contacts.write as the scope for this token, and generate it. Great, your token is now created. Before connecting it to n8n, let's test it inside the HighLevel documentation playground to make sure everything works as expected. Copy your token and paste it into the bearer token field. Next, we need the path parameter called contact ID. To find it, go back to HighLevel and open the specific contact you want to add the tag to. Look at the URL in your browser's address bar. At the end of the URL path, you'll see a unique ID. That value is the contact ID. Copy that ID and paste it into the contact ID field in the playground. Then select the correct API version from the drop-down menu. Now, in the body section, HighLevel already provides an example JSON structure. All we need to do is modify that JSON and insert the tag we want to add. For example, if we want to add the tag tag1, we simply replace the existing value with tag1 and remove any other tags from the array, so we're only sending the tag we actually want to apply. Once that's done, we're ready to test the API request. Click Send. Perfect. The response is successful, which means the token and scope are configured correctly. Now let's go back to HighLevel and refresh the contact page to confirm that the tag was added. Scroll down to the Tags section. As you can see, tag 1 is now attached to this contact. To keep things clean, we'll remove the tag again, because next we're going to run the exact same API call, but this time inside n8n. Now return to the HighLevel documentation and scroll up slightly to the curl section. This part is extremely useful. When you expand it, you can see the complete structure of the API request, including the HTTP method, the endpoint URL, the headers, the authorization format, and the request body. Understanding this structure is important because this is exactly what we'll replicate inside n8n. And as mentioned earlier, if you'd like a deeper explanation of how to read and interpret HighLevel's API documentation, we recommend watching our Complete Beginner's Guide to HighLevel API. In that video, we break down the fundamentals step by step, so you fully understand what's happening behind the scenes. Now let's continue. Copy the curl command and switch over to n8n to create a new workflow.
To call any API in n8n, including the HighLevel API, we use the HTTP request node. One of the most powerful features of this node is that it allows you to import a curl command directly, which saves time and reduces manual errors. Click the plus icon, then search for HTTP request and add the node to your workflow. You'll see an option called Import Curl. Click Import Curl, paste the curl command we copied earlier into the input field, and then click Import. n8n will automatically map everything for you, including the HTTP method, the URL, the headers, and the request body. Now, click Execute Step to send the request. If everything is configured correctly, you'll see a green check icon, which confirms that the API call was successful. Let's go back to HighLevel one more time to verify the result. Refresh the contact. Scroll down to the Tags section. Perfect. Tag 1 has been added to the contact again. And that's the simplest way to connect HighLevel to n8n using a private integration token. Now we're ready to set up the advanced mode, OAuth 2.0. We'll configure everything step by step so you can follow along without confusion. According to the n8n documentation for the HighLevel connection, setting up this credential requires two values, client ID and client secret. To obtain these, you'll need to create a new marketplace app inside the HighLevel developer platform. Step 1. Join the HighLevel developer community. To get started, you'll need access to the HighLevel developer platform. Sign up for the HighLevel developer community. Link to sign up is available in the description. Once you're signed up, we'll create our first app. One quick note here. If this is a brand new developer account, the Create App button may not appear immediately. If that happens, log out and log back in after about 10 minutes. Step 2. Create a new app. Once your developer account is set up and the platform is accessible, the next thing we'll do is create our first app. Click Create App. Set it up like this. App name, n8n connection, app type, private, target user, sub-account, leave this as default. For who can install the app, everyone. For listing type, choose standard, then click Create App. Step 3. Basic app information. Now let's fill in the basic app information. Upload the app logo. Choose a category. Add any tags. This is a private app, so tags won't affect visibility. Select your business niche. Enter your company name, then click Save. Step 4. App profile and preview images. Open the App Profile section. Add a short description. Then upload at least 3 preview images. Click Save. Step 5. Support details. Go to Support Details. Enter a support email and a support phone number. Then click Save. Step 6. Configure OAuth. Now open Advanced Settings and go to the Auth tab. For the redirect URL, HighLevel needs a specific URL that comes directly from n8n. So to get that, let's switch over to n8n. Add a HighLevel native node, choose Create or Update a Contact node. At the top, under Credentials, click Set up Credential. You'll see an OAuth redirect URL generated by n8n. Copy that. Now go back to the HighLevel app and paste it into the redirect URL field. Click Add. Next, under the Scope section, select Contacts.write. Then save. Step 7. Create client keys. Next, go to the Manage section and open the Secrets tab. Under Client Keys, click Add. Give it a name, for example, version 1, and click Add. HighLevel will generate a client ID and a client secret. Copy both. Go back to n8n and paste the client ID into the client ID field, client secret into the client secret field. Next, in the Scopes field, enter contacts.write, which matches the scope selected earlier. Finally, make sure the authorization URL is standard.
Step 8. Publish the app. Before we connect anything, the app must be published. Go back to HighLevel App Configuration. Open Manage, then Versions. You'll see the app is still in draft mode. Click the 3 dots and select Publish. All required fields should now be marked with green check marks. Click Next. Step 9. Connect HighLevel to n8n. Now return to n8n to connect it to HighLevel. On the Install Confirmation page, scroll down and click Next. On the Select Account page, choose the sub-account you want to connect. That's it. The OAuth 2.0 connection is now stored in n8n.
Now let's use this credential with the native HighLevel node available in n8n. We'll perform a similar action again, adding a tag, but this time using the built-in node instead of the HTTP request node. For this example, select Create or Update a Contact. First, enter the email and phone number. Make sure you use the same contact we worked with earlier when we added Tag 1. Next, click Add Field and choose Tag. You'll notice that n8n provides a helpful note under this field. Comma-separated list of tags. Array of strings can be set in expression. In our case, we'll add just one tag, Tag 2. Once that's entered, the node is fully configured. Now click Execute Step to run the action. Perfect. The green icon confirms that the request was successful. In the response panel, you can see the full contact details returned by HighLevel. If you look at the tags field, you'll see that tag 2 is now present. However, notice that tag 1 is no longer attached to this contact. This happens because the Create or Update a Contact node updates the entire contact record, including the tags field, rather than appending a new value to the existing list. So if your goal is to add a tag without removing existing ones, you should use the Add Tags endpoint instead. This distinction is important, especially when working with live data, because using the wrong action can unintentionally overwrite information. Earlier, we used the HTTP request node to call this endpoint. Now, let's return to that node and update its configuration to use OAuth instead of the private token. First, remove the authorization header that was added previously. Since OAuth will handle authentication automatically, this header is no longer needed. Next, scroll up to the Authentication section. Change the authentication type to Predefined Credential Type. Once selected, a new field called Credential Type will appear. Search for HighLevel and choose HighLevel OAuth 2 API. After selecting that, you'll see another field prompting you to choose the HighLevel OAuth 2 credential. Select the sub-account credential that you connected earlier. Now, the request is authenticated through OAuth, without manually managing headers or tokens. Here's what's happening behind the scenes. Earlier, authentication was handled manually by adding the private integration token directly in the request header. Now, authentication is managed through n8n's native credential system. The OAuth token is securely stored and automatically attached to the request. There's no need to manually paste or manage tokens inside the node. With that configured, the node is ready to run again. Click Execute Step. Perfect. The green icon confirms the request was successful. If we check the response, you'll now see that both tags, Tag 1 and Tag 2, are present on the contact. This is because the Add Tags endpoint appends new tags to the existing list, rather than replacing the entire tags field. And that's it. One quick tip before we wrap up. HighLevel's API documentation can sometimes be inaccurate or incomplete, so if you ever get stuck calling a specific endpoint or you need help understanding how to structure a request properly, consider joining our SKOOL community. Inside, we're building a growing library of practical API tutorials. We go step by step through real high-level endpoints with the goal of covering every major API in the platform, clearly and practically. Since you're already diving into APIs, this video is a perfect next watch. We show you how to build a custom high-level MCP system. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. And if this video helped you, make sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.